Partners of sleep talkers or sleepwalkers, what gems have you to share? So this one time while my SO was sleeping, she randomly reaches over and starts to pet my leg softly. When I ask her what she's doing, she looks at me like I'm stupid and says, "What does it look like?" "I'm petting this fluffy baby penguin." Then pauses for a second, pats my leg again and blurts, "Our wait, this isn't a penguin." I have never laughed so hard over someone talking in their sleep. Heck yes. Please take a seat. My wife was an avid sleep talk for a long time, and her midnight announcements range from simple single words to elaborate speeches. The ones that really stand out to me are waking up in the middle of the night to her suddenly sitting violently up in bed, throwing back the covers, and screaming, "Tarantula. That will make you very awake," very quickly. Whispering my name repeatedly, which woke me up so she could share in a hushed, cautious voice, "There is an alligator in here." When I expressed my concern, playing along, she told me, still whispering, that it's okay. It has been here before. But my all-time favorite was when, from her perspective as she later explained, she was dreaming that I was playfully sneaking up on her and she saw me and was calling me on it. From my perspective, my wife sat up in the middle of the night, starting into the darkest corner of the room, and said repeatedly in a soft sing-song voice, "I see you, ooh." My flipping blood froze. My boyfriend once blurted out, "You're putting bread in my ears," in his sleep, mumbled something unintelligible and then followed up with, "And I'm becoming a sandwich." Still makes me laugh whenever I remember. My boyfriend woke me up the other day by gently putting his fingers in my mouth, and I kept moving my head out of the way until eventually I was like, "Can you stop that?" He then sounded genuinely upset and asked why I woke him up, as he was having a really nice dream about feeding a deer. Brilliant. Not a partner, but in military training and in school I often took the night shift for guard duty. The amount of sleepwalkers and talkers is way higher than I expected. It is straight creepy when you have to walk down the halls with a covered flashlight listening to big-ass grown men mumbling and lashing out in their sleep. What takes the cake though is often sleepwalkers will just kinda stop randomly. So you'll be walking along in the pitch black darkness and suddenly there is just a damn dude standing there. Eyes generally closed, or worse, open, just kinda listening to the side or leaning against a bedpost or wall. After I'd suppress all the swear words I was about to yell out, nothing much to do but kinda prod them along back to their bed. For all the randomness that is being part of the military, I really didn't expect one of my jobs to be gently tucking my fellow soldiers back into their beds. Sigh. My boyfriend either recites postcodes, delivery driver, or calls the dog in his sleep. So either he is mad no one is responding to his postcode nonsense, or I get a flying 30 kilograms dog to my body. He farted very loudly and proceeded to say, "You got the wrong guy." Napping with the boyfriend, a loud noise wakes me, but Hess still out. Me, what was that? Him, either a tree or a magic eraser. My husband and I got married just 3 months ago, and I found out he's a notorious sleep talker. Some nights he would roll over to me, kiss me full on the mouth, tell me he loves me, then plonk right back on his pillow and start snoring again. This actually happens regularly, much to my delight. Lol. Other nights he would blurt out things like how he would install a new server at the sheriff's office, or there's a snake on his palm, and when I asked what it's doing he answered that it's coding something. I now enjoy staying up late and am a proud owner of several recordings of my husband's sleep talkings. Recently, I got him answering math questions and it tickled me silly how he got them all correct. This actually happened last night. My fiancée started talking to me like we had never met before, and after a minute I realized that she was dreaming about our first date. It was really wholesome and I was surprised at how much detail she remembers. I remember one night Mom and I sat in the hallway giggling because my brother and Dad were having a sleep conversation in different rooms. "Dad, do you sell steel here?" "Brother, can I help you, Dad?" "Dad, I want to buy some steel." "Brother, what?" "Dad, how much is the steel?" One time, my ex was asleep and started to snore progressively loud. He startled himself half awake, and he says out loud, to himself, "Shut up." My wife started screaming one night that she was lost in the local grocery store. And that no matter where she went she couldn't find her way out. I asked her, has she tried checking out at the cash registers? She then looked at me and said in her most sincere voice, "That's why you are the smartest person I know." And she rolled over and fell back asleep. My wife was mumbling a lot and suddenly shouted donkey kick, as she kicked me in my shin, so that was fun. Ex-roommate talked in his sleep. Once, he cried out, "No Gandalf." Fantastic sleep songs with lyrics which are utterly bizarre. My two absolute favorites have been, "Oh whoa whoa, it's a corner cat," Obey my rules, and you'll always be a country cowboy, repeated about 5 times and finished with a yeah. I'm the sleep talker here, got this from my wife the next morning. Me, sits bolt upright, they're coming. Everything's ready. Wife, sleepily huh? Me, they're coming. Everything's ready. Wife, they're coming? Me, Wife, but everything's ready? Me, yes. Wife, sounds like we're okay then. Me, comically flops back down and instantly goes back to sleep. My grandfather was a hard sleep talker. My grandmother has a funny story. One day my grandfather while sleeping was saying, "Do I punch this asshole?" My grandmother replayed, "Yeah, punch him." Then my grandfather in his sleep punched her. My mom tells a story about a time she fell asleep with her arm above her head. It lost circulation and dropped onto her chest, but she had no feeling in it since it fell asleep. When it flopped on her chest, she woke up and tried to throw her asleep arm, screaming that a dead hand had fallen on her. I woke up one night when my husband started flailing around in the bed. It shocked me and I shouted, "What's wrong?" Then he punched me in the face. I yelled out and started crying. Then he woke up and shouted, "What's wrong?" He dreamt he was being chased and then turned round and punched them. My mom, who is in her 80s, often falls asleep in her chair while I'm visiting her. She sleep eats. Not real food, but she goes through the motions of holding a plate and bringing food to her mouth. It's hilarious watching her. I asked her once if it was nice and she said yes, it's very tasty. Years ago, my wife was mumbling in her sleep and seemed a bit upset. I wanted to comfort her, without waking her up too much, so I said, "Honey, you're fine. Do you know where you are?" She slugged me in the arm, and said I'm in place where punch buggies are seen first. She then rolled over and muttered to herself, "Chugga chugga chugga buggy," and went back to sleep. She didn't remember a thing the next morning. I'm the sleep talker. A long while back my fiancée was working a job where she didn't get home until after midnight. She came home one night, and was leaning over the table on my side of the bed. She swears up and down that I looked up at her, smacked her on the top of the head, and when she asked what the hell that I told her I was checking to see if she was a ghost. Now, I do remember having a dream like this, but in my dream my hand did go through her head, proving. My aunt likes to tell the story about her and my cousin sharing a hotel room one time. My aunt woke up having to pee and found my cousin sitting up in bed with her arms folded across her abdomen, kind of rocking back and forth and giggling quietly. When my aunt asked her what she was doing, my cousin said, "I'm holding a baby and it has an adult smile." I found this story deeply unsettling. He started shouting that he couldn't feel his left arm. I pointed out he was pinching his pillow, not his arm. He then freaked out that he had lost his arm. I pointed out his arm was under his pillow. He said okay and started snoring. It took me another hour to get back to sleep. He didn't wake up at all. My mom sleepwalks sometimes. When she was in the middle of her residency, she came into my room in the middle of the night and sharply asked, "Did you give patient her dose of medication, like I asked you to 15 minutes ago?" I groggily replied, "Who? Wha?" She just huffed and said, "Well, I guess that answers my question," before turning around and leaving. Without closing the door, of course. She didn't remember a thing about it the next morning. My girlfriend once yelled in her sleep, "No, no, no, you spunky lesbian. I'm a dude." Still tease her about it. My girl woke up one night and said, "Did you find your rocks?" And I asked her what she was talking about, and she said, "I don't know, I'm just trying to make conversation." And promptly went back to sleep. She has no recollection of this. He got up, went into the kitchen and ate one bite of a mini pecan pie, no fork, just a straight bite, then apparently remembered he hates pecan pie and left it stacked neatly on the little box. Another time he sat up and stared straight ahead at the wall, didn't respond to me asking what was wrong. He stood up, walked into the wall, and stood there like he was contemplating the barrier. He just backed up exactly as he came, sat down and swung back into bed like nothing happened. That was creepy. Husband woke up in the morning and told me about a crazy dream he had. We were hosting a party and he was serving cookies. He was upset that nobody was eating them. When we went downstairs, we discovered a full plate of cookies sitting on our dining table. My husband once sat bolt upright on bed and announced, "You're not working hard enough. I have to fire you," and went back to sleep.